I'm not gonna lie, when they asked me to give the title of my speech a few months ago, I was just binging an Adele and hadn't written a word of it yet, so I explained that part. But good evening, everybody. I feel like I just stepped on an EpiPen. My heart's racing a little bit, so it's all good. You can see my parents sitting up front shaking their head, wondering who the hell let them get up on there. It's cool. They do keep asking this one question that I actually think applies to all of you as well, my peers, my soon-to-be colleagues, my friends, and that is, how in the world did we actually get here? Right? I mean, seriously, look to your left, look to your right. You know, one of them has probably been seeing dancing top counters at bars in Philly. I'm looking at you, Jake, and Preeti probably too. You know, one of them has probably fallen asleep while retracting a surgery. And others of us who found out we got some great swimmers, hashtag med school babies. I mean, seriously, Julian, like, all you guys, I don't know how you guys did. That was amazing. That was really, really awesome. And yet, I say, yet, here you sit. Even when you said you couldn't do it anymore, I literally heard that before our first anatomy exam. You went ahead and made it. You passed those exams, you evacuated those patients' bowels, you got 1 out of 10 pimping questions right by blindly guessing, even when they made you cry in the wards, or get knocked out by a psych patient in the psych wards. So you're stronger. You pulled through. That's incredible. But we can't give ourselves much credit without also appreciating some of the incredible teachers we've had along the way. Here at Jefferson, as well before it. There's a Turkish saying that goes, a good teacher is like a candle, consuming itself to light the way for others. We owe a lot to them. And here at Jefferson, right as they've been, we've also had some quirky candles. I mean, Dr. Lackwood gave some of the best lectures through the year, but we also found out what language sounded like in the pre-punctuation era, where, how many words can you put in the wrong lecture, please? On the other hand, we also have Dr. Uchter, who I swear, he could cure ventricular arrhythmias with simply the smooth sound of his voice with like speech psychoanalytic nothing. So you're telling me that your heart is racing. But seriously, what is your relationship with your mother like? On the other hand, you know, one of the doctors probably walks in the wards, and every time he walks in, he's probably like, the sweet smell of mischief abounds. You know, Dr. Berg, he's our Yoda. We love him for that. And we have Dr. Mangione. He has been convinced that love originated in Italy because heart sounds now all have distinct Italian accents. Kentucky. That's it. I can go on all day with this, but these role models and so many more have inspired us to spread across the country and join some incredible fields. Family medicine, where you guys at? You guys in the house? Yeah, all right. My peoples who believe that a double dose of empathy and a reassuring pat on the back can really cure heart disease. You know more than that, right? The internal med people, any internal med people in the house? You guys love talking about the 500 causes of hypernatremia. How did your patient's sodium drops like 2 points? Well, it could be low Q intake or cancer. Yep, just order every test. My surgical, all the presidents doing the surgical fields? Yeah? Alright. I guess I'm real confident. Wow, that's great. Seriously though, I was reading an article and this completely autonomous robot did a full bowel resection of a pig the other day. So, here's to drinking tonight. Your careers are definitely secure. OB-GYN in the house? You sound excited now. A couple years, you're like, OB-GYN! And then we can't, of course, forget our lovely emergency doctors. Badass CPR pumping adrenaline junkies who we all love to hate on. I mean, God forbid you guys actually admit a patient who needs to be admitted, who would we have to blame for all of life's problems? Right? So, and yet, knowing all of this, even anticipating the grueling hours and the likely waves of nausea and panic attacks that will come before our first overnight call or ICU shift, knowing all of that, we still eagerly wait to jump into our respective fields and gain excellence. So you know what I see here? I see a generation of doctors rallying together as a movement, kind of speaking even larger than the political movements going on this election season. I mean, hey, listen, if I had, a red toupee of hair kind of going on, I might want to say that we're going to make medicine great again. right? And then we're going to get the NVMe to pay for it. Now, if I was an old Jewish grandpa with tussle wisps of white hair, I might want to say that we need a medical revolution. So I ask you, do you feel the burn? If you do, you might need some Bactrim or Agathol. Either way, millionaire drug companies are holding them all. We need them back. On the complete other hand, if I were to do a whole sex change and have a nice blonde Gray Street bob, other than now having to hold it in during the North Carolina portion of my road trips, I would probably have some advice, like it's probably not the best idea to mix my work emails and home emails, whatever. I'm totally joking around. But the reason I bring it up is because the current political situation is actually still very, very much relevant today. There's no denying that the country is battling over how we perceive the current state of affairs and how we envision the future direction to be. Now, as heated as it has been, and as polarizing as it's going to be going, I do want to talk about one part of this country that I've come to call home for almost 16 years now. See, my parents actually took a big risk of leaving behind lives and careers and whole networks behind to come to the other side of the world just for the chance of having the best chance of getting the best education, as well as having opportunities to actually realize our dreams. So what you might not know, though, is that as a young boy, actually, I was one of the most quietest and introverted people that I've been. Honestly, I only talked to my mother really back in those days. Or her. I had yet to find my voice. But the welcoming culture, the melting pot of people I met, the wild abandon in which they dreamed and pursued life goals, made them challenge conventional norms as well as each other, these ideas began surrounding themselves, they began wrapping around me. Now, along the road, I started meeting people from all sorts of walks of life, people who had a great variety of perspectives and thoughts and opinions. And, as different as they were also so deep and layered. Now, I know that the media paints this whole picture of division and strife, right? But what it opened my eyes is to the incredible diversity of ideas and thoughts that exist in this land. And in this ethos of discovery, a fire ignited within me that would change what I would expect of myself. So, to stand here in front of you guys today at the pinnacle of our education is an honor whose magnitude of significance does not escape me. It's something that I'm truly grateful for and humbled by. But that being said, while I was able to grow and learn without restriction, I also came to start learning some truths about this land. Some truths such as just in Philadelphia, this incredible city of brotherly love and sisterly affection. This city that has given us so much in terms of enriching our lives and our education, applying itself into our hearts. This same city with some of the biggest names in healthcare and education, from Jefferson to Penn to Temple to Pretzel to Pecan, this same city has a 67% obesity rate amongst adults. This same city has pockmarked with food deserts, where a quarter to a third of its residents get less than one serving of vegetables a day. This city, I found, harbors souls that suffer from poverty, injustice, and without access to that world of dreams that I had seen. That world where opportunity had the chance to meet, ability had the chance to meet opportunity. And so, how are you even supposed to dream if they can't even access healthy foods? So I'd like to draw 3 points here about us, our future, and you can draw your own conclusions from there. So point 1. So I was on this bus from New York to Philly, right? This bus suddenly pulls over to the side and screeches to a halt. The driver, he's, I think, just recently immigrated to the country, starts screaming, "Someone is trying to poison the bus." I was like, damn! And then I realized, oh no, it's just the lady behind me had opened up this nail polish remover, and I was walking up, right? So anyway, she's like profusely apologizing, closing the cap, but he's convinced he's poisoned, so he's about to call the cops. Now, what I did next, I don't want to say it was because I had to get to a date that night. I did get up and say, "Wait, I'm almost a doctor, but can you tell me what you're feeling?" And like everyone just stares for a second, and then the bus driver starts telling me, a little bit of headache, a little bit of queasiness. So I'm like making sure not to see any signs of like stroke or something, right? But then they'd be like, "Oh, just roll the windows and see any fruit." So I'm like, "Listen, I'm almost a doctor, but I don't think you're poisoned. Maybe if you just smell this fruit, you might feel better." So he stares at me, stares at the lady with his puppy face on, and grabs the fruit and her back went away. So point number 1, if my saying I'm almost a doctor in a kind of squeaky, high-pitched voice had that kind of effect, I wonder what kind of impact we could have when we gain confidence in our own fields. I mean, that is the privilege of our profession. Now, for the second point, is much more direct. There is a difference between charity and justice. Justice seeks to address the root causes of inequality. And charity, while commendable and a positive action, can only treat its symptoms. Indeed, charity can often be seen as a win-win, but justice, not always so. And it often requires personal sacrifice of some form. Anand once said that we must remember the contrast between the easier idea of doing good by doing well to the braver notion of doing good at the risk of doing well. If ever asked why we must remember to consider justice over just charity, I'm sure we realize that none of us got here simply by ourselves. It was a system that allowed us access to opportunities. In fact, there are many of those whom we will never meet who sacrificed and fought so that we would have the opportunities to have what we have today. From women's rights to civil liberties to education reform. And so it's from the sacrifices and kindness of strangers to the love and support of family members and friends that we are able to strive for more. While we may never be able to repay them, we owe it to them to do their love justice and to repay multifold, because now we can in ways few other professions ever could. Now for the third point, I want to describe another experience as Dr. Tikinchitsky brought up. My classmate Sina and I actually had recently spent some time at the Syrian refugee camp, and we had the chance to go to a girls' school at the camp and even sit in one of the classes. Now, what we found was they were learning about global warming, and they were brainstorming about how they could help solve it, right? I had never seen the 100% engagement as I saw in that classroom that day. When we asked them about what their career aspirations were, it varied from engineer to nurse to astronaut to doctor. These 14 to 15-year-olds were some of the sharpest students I've met, and I have never felt the waste of human potential so palpably as that day when the headmistress told us that less than a third of them will actually get a chance to even try for higher education, of which even fewer will actually finish. See, education is not as common as you might feel sitting here. Just in America, only about 39% hold college degrees, and when broken down by race, it's even much worse, with 27% for African Americans and 20% for Latinos. We see that lack of diversity amongst us today. In America, only 2% hold doctorate degrees, and in the world, less than 7% hold any degree higher than high school. So, I hope we can wrap our minds around the fact that tomorrow, we enter the ranks of the educated elite. And it begs the question, in today's unequal world where such vast disparities exist, are we called on to be more than just doctors, but also as advocates for the poor, the vulnerable, the marginalized, to help rectify the system? Whatever our political or philosophical outlook, can we engage the world through more than just propulsion of our own career? Because if knowledge is truly power, then tomorrow we stand to be titans in this world. Now, coming from Jefferson, we enter this field not as mere practitioners, but as individuals who can challenge the norms. Let us strive to thrive in a manner that our generation of doctors is one that history takes note of. As a cautious optimist, I know that it often takes more than just one cohort of people to make any big changes. But I also have full confidence that if we stand together, if we refuse to accept substandard status quos, if we just might be able to grab the arc of the universe and bend it to one where a more equitable world exists, or at least create a chance to do so, because that's more than any small group of committed individuals has ever needed to create significant impact. So, I want to take a risk here, go out on a limb if you will, and say the following. Tomorrow, when we walk up to graduate as proud doctors of medicine, I want to make a statement along with a significant moment, that I will try to leave this field in the world better than when I entered it. I plan on taking a picture, either on stage, really, whenever I get the chance, to take a picture with a fist placed against my heart. Now, this sounds lame, especially as I'm saying this out loud now, but if you feel as I feel, if you believe as I do, that our calling and our potential are unique ones, if you believe in the power of symbols that they can have, then I invite you to do the same. With diploma in one hand, the other in a fist to resolve our commitment and our resolve for our intentions, and place against our heart to remind yourself years later of the idealism and the passion that exists within. So that maybe looking back years later on these memories, we just might be inspired to try again or continue trying. For the causes we care about are too important to ever lose sight of, and that's the only promise we can ever make. That being said, no matter what happens in the future, one other thing tomorrow also signals is a massive culmination of 2 decades, at least 2 decades. That's 20 years of hard work, studying, and sacrifices, along with all the other life experiences we've gathered along the way. No matter what happens, no one can ever take that from you. And moreover, it only pretends to the potential and what you're capable of doing in life, no matter what life throws at you. So, congratulations. And I would see all of y'all walk with all that pride and swag that you guys have worked so damn hard to earn as the freshest, the best looking, the most kick-ass group of doctors the world has ever seen. And so, with the utmost gratitude in our hearts, I want to say to our dear deans, our professors, and our administrative staff, med school, it's been real, but Jefferson class of 2016, we out.
All right.
That's what the typical